So we are presenting the childcare management system for software engineering for fall of 2023. My name is Janice Spiccato, along with Alfredo Urdaneta, Sai Rush Yadikonda, and AJ Kumar Thuma. So the executive summary of this project is that it's targeted at producing a cloud-based web application to efficiently manage the day-to-day operations of childcare facilities. So this is meant to help them and encourage them to make things easier. So the system will empower daycare managers, instructors, whoever truly is running the daycare facility by offering a uniform platform to expedite operations such as child enrollment. So when there's a new child that wants to that is brought in by the parent, there's a registration form, there's staff administration, attendance monitoring. So the child is, there's a record of the child being there, and accounting. So the project employs a stack. So we have Django for the back end, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript for the front end, and MySQL for the data storage or the database. So these are some of the stakeholders that are going to be using this software in order to achieve this. So the main ones are the teachers. So their role would be to utilize the system to record attendance, to establish a optimal teaching ratio, to keep track of their working hours, and then we move on to the facility administrators. They will be the key users of it. They will oversee it through the day. Personnel and financial transactions, as well as accounting. The parents will also be able to use the system to enroll their children. If you have 1 or 2 children, you'll be able to do this through the app. Make payments, monitor their children's attendance and activity. The system administrators, these personnel will have the total control over the system, guaranteeing that it's working perfectly fine, and monitoring the user access for childcare facilities. So this is the system architecture overview of the whole child management project. So in terms of the client side, we have the client side is constructed of the HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, like I said previously, to provide a user-friendly and responsive interface. Bootstrap, a famous CSS framework, is used to create consistent and visually attractive designs across multiple browsers and devices, so that's what we've chosen for that. For the server side, it's powered by Django, very strong Python web framework. Also, Django provides a model view controller architecture, which facilitates the creation of sophisticated online applications. Django controls the application's logic and the data processing. It connects with the front end and handles users' requests and interacts with the MySQL database as well.
For database design and the actual schema for it, so we just laid out basically what the core requirements and core entities that we would need to store data for, such as the children, parents, teachers, um, anything like that. We've also designed a couple relationships between between each and entity. Development environment setup. We for the operating system, we decided to use the Linux operating system, um, mainly because it's innately used with Python, as Python will be for the uh, main programming language used throughout this project. Um, the fr you obviously it's using the framework of Django or to operate it as its scripting language or programming language. So we decided to use the Linux operating system. Then we also set up virtual environments, in which way we are able to basically have a development server where we can actually uh, host the host the server, the Django server, and actually start debugging and storing data and everything. As for just in general, the IDEs and tools that we've been using have just mainly been the Visual Studio Developer, the Visual Studio Code, different stuff like that that are mainly just our tools of editing the actual software itself. For the functional requirements, the system that was given to us had four main requirements for roles. One was the system administrator, where they would have complete access to any of the databases, any of the different functions, as well as the ability to add more childcare facilities. The facility administrators, their facility, they would have the role of monitoring their facilities, basically having a the same ability minus overviewing the databases and other non uh, other different facilities that are not their own. Teachers mainly only have to do is report their daily attendance and earnings, and then the parents can utilize it for their child enrollment, processing, and then monitoring their child's information. All right, so currently right now for the project timeline, the different things that we've so far have done has just been creating different HTML templates or more of the skeleton of the HTML web page for the various different web pages, which will be shown to each different user and to allow them to access different functionalities. We also created a smaller database just to work with understand how the framework works with uh, adding and manipulating the database in itself. We've also created very simple logic um, just for the backend, just so that we are able to navigate through different pages. Currently, right now, we only have two of the pages working, which will be shown later in the demo. The required tasks that are still in progress would be to implement like the backend logic for these different views to so that they have functionality and no longer are of of skeletons of themselves. Um, to really give the HTML format some type of data. Speaking of data, we also need to create a more robust database system. That smaller scale system is not going database is not going to exactly cut it. So we are going to implement the full scale database schema that we have been working on. And then finally, we would need to test this across a multiple user scenario where we're in a cloud-based system just to test different speeds and to make sure that the logic and everything is more or less good and ironed out all the bugs. Here we have the environment and database setup. Just simply just showing the virtual environment setup that we're doing using Linux, and then the uh, database referencing for MySQL within the Dojingo platform. Alrighty, so as far the amount of progress that we've currently have made was creating the login screen, uh, and then creating a little bit of logic to store certain values and everything. So as of right now, these fields lead nowhere. They can be used. Um, However, we've linked another page to this register to give us to start filling into database and testing that type of logic. Okay, so as you can see, this loads up. We can basically a fill this out. I'll give it a new password. So we have a username, password, and registered. So, and then it will bring us back to the login page. That way, that is the sequence of events currently. To check if those values were actually recorded or not, we'll go to the admin panel that Dojingo actually has. As you can see, I added my name earlier. However, this test 123 was just added. So we go into there, we can actually see that, hey, there's a username field. It grabbed it. Same thing with the password. So that shows that there is backend logic that is connecting to a SQL database that allows it to update and basically check for different passwords and usernames within this system. Moving forward, we would uh, instead of just going for back to this page, we would go into more of like a here you go, here's about who are you, such as like teachers and parents, and then fill out more requirements. Um, as of right now, this is the progress that we have made.